and adhering to Jehovah, obeying His commands, and all that kind of thing. And who's the judge of that? Well, you yourself are the judge of your own actions. You yourself, nobody else. You yourself. But through the light of the Creator within you, you'll be able to see and judge yourself against that light. And you'll judge yourself truly and fairly as to how you are in respect to that light. So we have, with Cosman, with the beginning of Cosman, man came to comprehensive judgment. Now, when the Republic was founded, which was the founding of Jehovah's Kingdom on earth, well, the initial movement of it anyway, because it established the inorganic first resurrection, which is built upon liberty. And that's what was established, okay, in that time. The actual outward manifestation of the Father's kingdom, it will not come about for a while. It'll come about 300 years after Cosman, essentially 2149 to 2249, at which time, which is 400 years into Cosman. Then the Father's kingdom will have risen into ascendancy all throughout the entire world, and as people embrace it. Well, anyway, with this house, then man started off then in this continuing on the ways of the beast, because the beast had been there all along beforehand. But in the 1776, man had not grown to comprehensive judgment yet. But he was close, and so he was given, this republic social order, and he had enough together, enough judgment to be able to set this in motion, the inorganic first resurrection. But he didn't have enough oomph, enough understanding, enough comprehensiveness to perceive the organic first resurrection per se. He could sort of conceive it, but it was just way out there for him. Just like since 1949, people can visualize, perceive Jehovah's kingdom on earth, unless they're caught in the inorganic first resurrection, then they have a real problem perceiving that. But since 1949, when the organic first resurrection, the soul reality of it was born, came forth from man, then he could perceive it. He could perceive it in his mind. He could understand it. He could feel it in his heart. He could perceive it in his soul. Even though he might not know how to get there or how to proceed, but he could still, because it was there within him. It was an embryo within him. Now, but this also meant that in 1949 to 2049, that was the time when the organic first resurrection was born and will mature to adulthood. In the inorganic first resurrection, it's like a parent. Now a parent, like a mother, okay, now a mother has in her womb, she has a child. So she's responsible for that child. She's responsible for nourishing the child, for supplying it with health and a good environment. But sometimes she doesn't. Sometimes she becomes alcoholic or drug addicted or whatever, but falls away from that. And then the child suffers on account of that. And the same when she has a young child. She's responsible for its care. And in the same way, the inorganic first resurrection is responsible, has a responsibility for, not only for itself, but during the phase from 1849 to 1949, it was responsible for feeding that fetus of the organic first resurrection within them. And now, since 1949 to 2049, it's responsible for that child that's been born out of them. It's responsible whether it provides for them or whether it cuts them short. That's all a part of the provision, all a part of the learning process of the lessons from the Creator. And so, this East House of Light when the removal happened of the Druzhas in 2001 with the Most Holy Cosmin Day and the Cosmin Tree of Light that came, it became easier to build that house of light within, of its white east light, and it's, but it could still be subdued or intimidated. Well, essentially evil could come in and all that. And this is for all of humanity. All of humanity has this. So this isn't just for me or for an individual or a group or a nation. It's for everyone. This is for everyone. So when we talk about these things, we're talking about everyone. And the pioneers, they're the ones who carry forth into the progression, into these newer things that we're coming into. And so the pioneers can be expected in this time to be those who are growing toward the adulthood in the organic first resurrection. And if my understanding is correct in this, and I believe it is, that this morning, which was year 164, AK 195, no, 195, 95 represents Phi, is also a number connected with the United States of America. And the 19 part has to do with the Se, which is evil, but it's also joy, but it's there. And the 5 following it represents the Iayo, the elevator. Where in relationship to that, are you going to take it up higher, lift higher, rise up with it, or are you going to sink down to get where it is so you can lift them up? All that is a part of this particular time right now, 195. And the year 164 is essentially in the second third of the year, because the year can be divided into three portions. And the second third of the year, where we would be in day 43. And 43 is the Dan Hay. Excuse me, not Dan Hay, but the High Dang, the high noon. And I'm supposing that it has to do with that. Why Jehovah spoke those words this morning. It has to do with that because the house itself, for the first time, became impenetrable by the evil. First time that's ever happened. Because where we're in right now is from 1949 to 2049. You see, we're coming close to 2/3 of the way through that, and which will be 2016 on the 100-year cycle. That's going to be 2/3 of the way around there, which is the time of the beast. But it's also the time. It's also the time of when the in the Gitzan, which is the perfect star. So it's also the time of the Gitzang, the perfect star, or meaning perfect dominion. It's also one of those points on that star, and it represents the descent to the Paradars. Now the return of the Paradars marks the final phase of the 4 stages toward fraternity. And it's a spell. Like the first one was a spell of 33 years, so the last phase is also a spell of 33 years. Now the one in between, which was from 2001, from the time of Cosmin Day to the return of the Paradars, 2001 to about 2016 or so, that's a short time. And that's actually, I say 2016 or so, because like I said, these things happen, there's like an orb of, or a degree of tolerance, or a place where it starts happening before, and everybody's moving in. So